you can see, I have a lot of what you could call a secular music and stuff on my channel. And that's because I believe in living a life that is sincere. I believe in being an open book. There's so many things that I love and enjoy, and I reached to a point in my life that I want to encourage people to find what it is that they love and to be true to themselves about it. Within reasons, of course. I still believe in living my life to principles of God's word, not nobody else's word, God's word. And I look at the overall picture. Am I committing any sin? Am I hurting anyone? A lot of the music that I love, the words are so beautiful. The words are like, just to me, sometimes I'm singing or listening to them and it makes me just filled with joy. I'm happy. It makes me smile. It makes me also kind of escape in some kind of daydream state in some of the songs, because it's what you love or what you'd like to happen for yourself. And I think that's a good thing. In a world filled with stress and so many things to keep us down and miserable, you should have some good, reasonable, healthy escape. And for me, from a child, maybe from when I came out of the womb, music is one of those escape for me. I love to sing and dance, and I so wish, and I encourage parents to see the gifts and talents in your children and see if you can give them outlets to use those gifts and talents. The earliest you see those gifts and talents, the better. Give them outlets to be able to showcase those gifts and talents. I had some outlets, mainly in church, but especially when I went to school, at concerts and class parties that we have at the end of the term and stuff. But I still didn't recognize and know what the values of some of the gifts I have until now, later in life. I realized that. And as I mature and I'm somebody who likes to read and watch stuff, research stuff, I start realizing some things are such a blessing to have. And if we only know how lucky some of us are and how blessed we are to have such gifts and talents, we would take them for granted and we'll value them and know our values. And it goes beyond that. There's a lot of things that we have valuable and we don't know, and we don't and we just let people rob and steal from us, mistreat us anyway, take us for granted. When we have, like, we're sitting like on a gold mine, a pot of gold. I am learning these last few years to embrace my blessings and my gifts and to showcase them. I'm not going to let anyone put me in any box. I'm not going to be controlled by anyone. As you know, my YouTube is not money to rise. I don't get money for it. So therefore, it's the more reason why anyone is not going to tell me what to put on it, what not to put on it, what to say, what not to say, hide my comments, delete comments unless I'm the one doing it. I am someone who is very respectful of people's rules, and I know whatever I say and do, it's within the rules. And I get very upset or angry when I see hypocrisy. If people can be saying and doing all kinds of vulgar, disgusting things on here, and you're going to want to block me or block certain things to me, which is just appropriate because you are, being spiteful or biased or whatever reasons. I am not going to take lightly to that, and I'm going to fight back. But back to seeing the gifts and potential in your children at an early age is so important. It's so important for them and for you. And I admire parents who are discerning enough. I wish my parents were discerning enough to see, or they weren't so religious, and they didn't think certain things are ungodly. you know, I think it's also good because all things work together for good, because we see too, if you don't have the proper guide and people watching over you in certain industry, you can end up being a mess on drugs, all kinds of stuff. So I'm grateful that I'm also at a stage of my life where I understand and know what's going on. And of course, we're in an age of technology, so you're just so wise to a lot of things. If you're not wise in this kind of period you're living, something is wrong, because we have so much at our fingertips. Even if we didn't have the parents to guide us and guardians to guide us, some of us are blessed to be able to read and write and search, and and can know what's appropriate, what's right, what's wrong. So I just want to say to parents, recognize the gifts in your children at an early age. You see that, you find ways for them, whether it's if they're good at kicking ball, put them in a soccer thing in the weekends to go. You see a child love a ball. You see your daughter love to draw and color. Get her into some kind of painting stuff and get her the materials for her. Give her time a day to do that work, because a person who has gift need to be like happily using it every day. That's so important for their health and well-being too. And that's why we have so many crazy people, because people were put in a box and restricted, and if they're in a certain religious home, it's a sin to do this and sing and this and all this stuff. So then after a while they're so miserable because everything they try, they're unhappy, because that's not what they were created for, and their gifts are not being utilized, and some of them eventually lose their gifts. So see the gifts in your children and encourage it. You see when I work with children as a teacher, God has blessed me also with realizing gifts in people, and I love to encourage people when I see that they have gifts. The same for the children I work with. I will tell the parents quickly, oh my God, Johnny can draw, and he's only 2. Please get him certain things, or put him into some little program on the weekend. He loves to draw every time, and I encourage it, and I give the child the material while they're in my care, that I know, when I see that they have a gift, I give them the material and I encourage it, because it brings me joy too to see maybe a child at 2 can draw like he's a 16-year-old. That's very fascinating for me. I love to encourage it, so I encourage parents to do that. Also for me, as you see some of the videos I put up in my playlist, my teenage years is one of the best years. Although I grew up in a strict Christian home, my poor dad, my mom decided to migrate when we were like preteens. I know I was a preteen, and one of my sisters was probably a preteen, but the rest were teenagers. And then then we all became full-blown teens. And I look back now and I feel sorry for them, because the teenagers, let me tell you something, teenagers are going to do what they want to do. And I thank God that although I love to dance and I used to love going out to certain things that my parents were against, and it was usually around other young people. Like in Jamaica when I was growing up, there's this thing called a fete on the weekend that you can go from 12 p.m. to 6 p.m. Now, I am the youngest, and I was not domesticated. They'll give me little chores to do, and I left that chores to go dance and sing and all, and carry on. And it wasn't, I look back, it's not a bad thing. It's what teenagers do, and that's another thing. Parents need to be educated, because that's why you have a lot of rebellious teenagers, because you have to be fair. You got to also look and be transparent and say, did I love to sing and dance at a teenage? Teenagers love to sing and dance, and preteen children, and even children younger than that. So if you don't want them, the main thing is to do is educate your children. And this is what I do with my son. And that's why my son, to me, turned out to be a great kid, great young man. I always said, I'm going to give my son what I didn't get. And some things I wanted from my parents that I didn't get, I make sure I gave it to my son. Whether time, sitting down with him, talking to him, constantly telling me I love him and hug him and all that stuff, right? My parents didn't do a lot of those things when I was growing up, and that's because they didn't know any better. Their parents didn't do it to them, and their parents didn't do it to them, you know. And so I was somebody, because I love to read and watch stuff, I became educated about what's normal and what's appropriate, at a very young age. So I wanted to pass that on and make sure I was doing it as a old. So my son got a lot of hugging and love, a lot of time. I spent time talking to him about stuff, being involved, making sure he knows I'm always here for him, you know. And so therefore, he's not into singing and dancing like I did, but I wish my parents would have understood that. And I brought it up to say, we found ways as teenagers, my sisters and my brother, we found ways to escape our homes. Like I put in some of my writing over some of those videos that I had, my playlist, that I used to go to my girlfriend's house and change. So I'll leave regular like this and go and put on pants, and if you couldn't wear, and earrings and stuff, and we dress up and we go to those fetes and dance and sing. Music was like embedded in me. I love to sing. I love music from a young age. And although I got baptized as a 5-year-old, which a 5-year-old, you look back, didn't understand a lot. So therefore, usually a child that got baptized or say they want to follow Jesus at such a young age, if the parents are not pouring into them and spending quality time with God, and that which my parents didn't do, you'll hear it in church and Sunday school, but they never spend a one-on-one with us, talking to us and guiding us and telling us certain things. So therefore, if you don't get that, you're going to kind of stray away from where the parents would like you to be. And it doesn't mean it's necessarily wrong where you stray. Like me, I love music. I love the arts. So when I went to high school, which high school started like 12-year-olds to 11, 12 in Jamaica, when I went to high school, and I went to a technical high school, so I started at age 30. Because I went to a primary school, I went up to what you would call middle school. So I went up to like grade 9 or something like that. And I took an exam, and in Jamaica when I was growing up, I had to take an exam, and I passed and went to the technical high school at age 30. And that's where I just really went off. And I didn't went off, when I look back, it wasn't a bad thing. I had a lot in me that was so locked up, and I was so restricted that I just broke free. And there was so many outlets. You could join drama club, I love badminton, I was a cheerleader, and that day, the first time I became a cheerleader with this little short stuff, the whole time I was so scared, because I'm like, my parents never see me like this. But I was free, because I love fashion, which is a lot of young people love. So parents have to be reasonable for you to just sit and talk. The main thing is to sit and talk to your children and guide them and let them make certain decisions. Because they're going to do it, they're going to hide and do it behind your back anyway. I put on a little short stuff. I was a cheerleader in school, right? I remember going to my girlfriend's house to change, and then come back and change, and went back home, and they didn't know I went out. And it's a good thing I was a good child. I like boys and think they were cute and stuff. Like I said in my writing, that we'll see boys and scream and say, "Oh, he's cute! Oh my God, a cute boy! Ah, he's a cute guy!" But that's it. We weren't trying to have sex and stuff like that. We just love being teenagers. We love to dress up. We love clothing and fashion. We love to see movie stars. We like to see movies. We like to go out. We love to go to the mall. We like to dance. We like to sing. And because I had girlfriends like that, I wasn't exposed to anything. I was not a statistic. And although I hide and go to dance things, like it's not exactly a club. It's like at schools they'll have these fete. We call a fete on the weekend in the auditorium from like 12 to 6. And there's 1 or 2 times we did go to clubs. But we were together as girls, and we didn't drink. We weren't into smoking or nothing like that. That's the difference with us. I tried a cigarette once at my girlfriend's house, and whose mother used to smoke, and I never wanted to smoke again, because also it was embedded in me that was wrong to do, when I was growing up, and I had no interest in it. So depends on what you tell your children, and some things they're gonna try anyway. The main thing is to talk to children. Like my son, I tell him all the time, I said, it's the words you need to listen to the songs. Even now, I still sing certain secular songs, and I'll dance a certain secular time, but I listen to the words. What is the word saying? Is that bad to say, "Oh, I love you, I want you to be with me forever in my life"? Isn't that what we should all be saying? You see, that's the hypocrisy. And this is why I'm not one of those Christians you're going to put in a box. And I don't care who wants to unfollow me or who wants to subscribe and unsubscribe. I'm not doing my YouTube for anyone. I'm doing it for me and putting out what I think is important for people who wants that kind of material here and there. Lots of time, it's just, I wanted to just put out something that I felt led to put out. God knows who wants to see and hear it. So my thing is, stop putting it, be honest and transparent with your children. Stop putting yourself in a box. Know what's appropriate. Pray and ask God what's appropriate. If you're reading the Bible, I always said though, if you have the Word of God and you put your children to Sunday school or church, and especially you spend time teaching them, because that's what's important. Because if they just go to church because you say go to church and you're not involved with them, they're going to go astray, which happened to most teenagers that grew up in church like me. You go astray. But the thing is, if you're a teenager that God is blessed with wisdom, which was my case, you know how far to go, what to do, what not to do. I love to dance and I love to party and I love to have a good time, but I didn't do drugs. I wasn't into drugs. I wasn't having sex. You see what I'm saying? And so eventually God just at my late teens, close to my late teens, just shortly before I migrated to the US, I started feeling pulled to search for the things of God. I said, God, I don't wanna be a Christian because my parents are Christian. What is the right way? I started asking